Here's a third EPA invented and patented technology related to concentrating water in a sample. It is entitled Systems and Methods for Concentrating Substances in Fluid Samples.
During or after a natural, intentional, or unintentional water contamination incident, it may be difficult to analyze drinking water supplies for pathogenic viruses, bacteria, and protozoa. Some of these microorganisms can create a significant risk to public health. Generally, analyzing water for low levels of microbes means taking a large volume sample and transporting it to a lab where the sample is concentrated before analysis. Transporting and handling a large volume of potentially contaminated water is a safety and logistical challenge. As a result, we need a way to quickly and effectively concentrate water samples to detect even low levels of potentially dangerous microorganisms. The U.S. Environmental Protection Agency teamed up with the Department of Energy's Idaho National Laboratory to develop a rugged and automated field ultrafiltration device. The device significantly reduces the size of a sample by concentrating the microorganisms in the large sample into a small volume of water. These smaller samples are easier to transport to labs safely. The ultrafiltration device could also be used during routine sampling by water utilities. The device could help concentrate bilge water on shipping vessels, process control liquids from brewing and pharmaceutical industries, surface water for environmental studies, and decontamination water from cleanup sites. The ultrafiltration device is designed to safely produce samples that can be used for the analyses of several types of microbes. The device is small enough to fit into the trunk of a car. It works by pumping water through a hollow fiber filter while maintaining a pressure difference between the filter inlet and outlet. This difference forces the majority of the original water sample to cross the filter wall and into a suitable drain, while the microbes are retained in a small fraction of water that does not pass through the filter. The device is controlled by software on a laptop and automates the process. The ultrafiltration device is simple to use. It improves accuracy and consistency through automation, reduces cross-contamination by using single-use parts, keeps costs down by quickly creating a small sample for transport, and increases safety by reducing the size of the sample and reducing risks of a spill that could impact public health and the environment. To get started, prepare the pre-treatment and eluting solutions. Dilute 1 50 ml vial of each solution to 1,500 ml. Use the protocols included with the device to make the 50 ml concentrated solutions. The accessories supplied with the device include a laptop computer and power cord, a serial cable, and an extension cord. You'll also find 4 distinct tubing assemblies that make up one tubing kit: effluent tubing, inlet tubing, filter assembly, and bottle assembly. The filter assembly has a filter, a pressure transducer, tubing, a one-way check valve, and quick connect fittings. These fittings act as shutoff valves when they're removed. The assembly has a number of fittings that may have loosened during transport, so make sure that the white fittings and the lower connections are hand-tight before continuing. Log into the computer using the username and password provided. Plug the extension cord into the device and an outlet. Connect the computer to the device using the supplied serial cable. Turn on power and remove the splash shield. Now you're ready to insert the 4 tubing assemblies into the wet box. To install the 4 tubing assemblies, first boot up the software by clicking on the Automator icon. Next, click on Add or Remove Tubing Kit. This opens the valves for easier tubing insertion. First, install the filter assembly. Insert the filter into its holder, being careful to avoid tangling the tubing and cables. The T-junction should be at the front of the wet box. Open the pump head and insert the tubing. Without closing the pump head, place the end of the pump tubing into the black holder. Make sure that the large black tubing clamp butts up against the tubing holder. The upper part of the pump head has notches that fit over the tubing. The tubing must be snug against these notches. Close the pump head, making sure the tubing stays within the notches. Place the other end of the pump tubing into the gray groove. The device has two types of pinch valves. In both types, the tubing fits into a C-shaped channel of the valve. Insert the tubing into the valves, making sure to follow the color coding. Don't let the tubing kink. Next, fit the tubing coil into the clip at the bottom of the wet box. Attach the filter's quick connect fitting with the adjacent fitting. You should hear the click if you've connected them correctly. Locate the two white plugs at the bottom of the wet box and connect them. These are for the pressure transducer. Next, install the bottle assembly. Make sure the cap is screwed on tightly and place it into the holder. Attach the quick connect fittings following the color coding. Place the bottle's vent tubing into the valve. Next, construct an inlet line with the included tubing and rigid plastic tube. The tubing should be long enough to reach the sample container. After cutting the tubing to the correct length, place one end of the tubing over the narrow end of the rigid plastic tube. Insert the other end of the tubing into the hole at the right side of the case. Pull the inlet tubing into the wet box and insert the end onto the red check valve. Remove any slack and install the shield. Make sure the gray grooves fit around the pump tubing. Next, attach the effluent tubing to the effluent port using the quick connect fitting. The effluent tubing should be long enough to reach the drain for filtered water disposal. This tubing segment can be reused since it doesn't come into contact with concentrated fluid. Now, go back to your computer and click on OK. Your tubing kit has been installed. To make sure the device is operational, click on Enter Test Mode. Use the provided test mode password. Energize the valves by clicking on the buttons. Click on the buttons again to de-energize them. You should hear the sound of the valves opening and closing. Here's what you want to look for. Make sure the pressure, flow rate, and retentate level are all reading normally. Pressure between -1 to +1 psi, waste flow rate 0 mils per minute, and retentate level between 0.3 and 0.5 liters. It'll look like there's some water in the bottle since the scale was not taired with the bottle. It'll be re-taired at the start of the run. Close the lid and make sure the computer's serial cable lies flat between the lips of the case. Secure the latches, then exit test mode by clicking on the exit button. Click the initialize or tear button to initialize the system and tear the scale. You're all set to start the run. When you're ready, click on Concentrate Water to start a run. Click Start and follow any computer instructions when prompted. If a leak is detected, the detector will sound an alarm and pause the operation. If there's a suspected risk of exposure through aerosol contact, follow the recommended safety protocols for your site. For example, shut down the device and let it sit for at least 1 hour to let any aerosol settle. Then open it, do a quick visual check, and decontaminate as required. If there is a non-hazardous leak, just clean it up and dry off the leak detector following this procedure. Remove the leak detector by loosening the thumb screw to undo the bracket. Decontaminate and dry off the detector and any other surfaces that are still wet. Then secure the detector back into place.